Hi everyone. Assalamu alaikum. All are fine? Okay. Then today we are going to discuss our new chapter. What is that? What is the name of our chapter? Packing. Packing is the name of our chapter. All of you listen our new chapter. Simple chapter. Okay. Simple chapter. Packing by Jerome K. Jerome. What is the name of our author? Jerome K. Jerome. Okay. Then here the narrator boasts of being an expert at the packing. Listen all of you. It's a story about packing. Here the narrator boasts of being. That means flattered himself as a good packer. Okay, and the narrator and his friends, who are the friends, which are the characters in this story? Which are the characters in this story? Give me. George, the narrator, Harris and George are the characters. Okay, they are preparing for a trip. Okay, then here the narrator, all of you listen before taking the chapter, listen carefully. The narrator and his friends, Harris and George, decided to go on a holiday. They desired to pack for their holiday. Then the narrator offered them to leave everything to him. Narrator offered them to leave everything to him. He can do himself with perfectly. And he boasted of being an expert in it. He boasted means he flattered himself. Like he boasted. Boasted. Okay, boasted himself as an expert in it. George and Harris behaved like indifferent spectators while he packed the bag. Then George, Harris and the narrator. Okay, these three they are preparing. They are preparing for a trip. Then here the narrator boasted. He's a good packer. The narrator packing for holiday trip. Okay. The narrator packed bag, forgetting, unpacked and repacked, and friends amused. That means something happened while packing. Okay, that is the one thing. Then reopened the bag. That also over. Then here George and Harris packed the hamper, that food items, and then one dog also between in that also. These are the incidents happened in our chapter packing. Then all of you open your textbook. 7th chapter, page number 82. Packing. Okay. Do you like going on trips? I know that we all people like going on trips. And what kind of trips do you enjoy most? What kind of means do you like with going with your family, going with your friends? Which are the things like we have so many kinds of. How do you feel about having to pack for a trip? Okay, it's not a simple thing. Like packing is not a simple thing. If we not a one day trip, if it is a 10 days or 1 week, then what is the situation of ours? Just think that. Have you ever discovered on a trip that you have forgotten to pack a few things you were much needed? Or what that you can't find them easily? Okay. Does this make you angry or does it make laugh or yourself? Okay, then these kind of things we can easily enjoy this story well through. Okay, all of you listen. I said I will pack. I rather pride myself, narrator. Okay, I rather pride myself on my packing. That means I am proud. Okay, in my packing. Packing is one of those many things that I feel I know more about than any other person living. That means it surprises me myself sometimes how many such things there are. All of you listen. I impressed the fact upon George and Harris and told them that they had better leave the whole matter entirely to me. They fell into the suggestion with a readiness that had something uncanny about it. Uncanny means strange about it. George spread himself over an easy chair and Harry cooked their legs on the table. Okay, then here they they accepted the suggestion with a readiness that had something uncanny, strange thing. Okay, surely they know that they want to face something, that's why they gave readiness. They are ready for giving that role to our narrator. This was hardly what I intended. What I had meant, of course, was that I should boss the job and that Harris and George should potter about under my directions. Potter about means do something unimportant things. I pushing them aside every now and then with, oh you, here let me do it, just like that. There are, simple enough, okay. Really teaching them, as you might say. They are taking it in the way they did irritated me. There is nothing does irritate me more than seeing other people sitting about doing nothing when I am working. What is the main thing? Listen, there is nothing does irritate me more than seeing other people sitting about doing nothing when I am working. Okay, just like us also like that, right? I lived with a man once who used to make me mad that way. He would lounge on a sofa and watch me doing things by an hour together. He said it did him a real good to look on at me messing about. Now, I am not like that. I can't sit still and see another man slaving and working. What is that? I am not like that. What he did like then here? I can't sit still and see another man slaving and working. I want to get up and superintend and walk around with my hands in my pockets and I tell him what to do. Okay, understood? And it's my energetic nature. I can't help it. Okay. Then what is the actual, then he said that he couldn't, he said that I can't sit still and see another man slaving and working. If I can't sit because I want to superintend. Okay, supervise, put my hands in my pocket and I want to supervise these all things. I want to give comments. Understood? However, I did not say anything, but I started the packing. It seemed a longer job than I had thought it was going to be. But I got the bag finished at last. And I sat on and strapped it. I just strapped also. Ain't you going to put the boots in? Said Harris. And I looked around and found I had forgotten them. That just like a Harris. He couldn't have said a word until I would got the bag shut and strapped. Why don't he said earlier? Of course, and George laughed. One of those irritating senselessness laughs of his. They do make me so wild. I opened the bag and packed the boots in. All of you listen, first he forgot the boots. Okay, listen. And then just as I was going to close it, a horrible idea occurred on me. Had I packed my toothbrush? Second thing, what is the second thing? Toothbrush. I don't know how it is, but I never do know whether I have packed my toothbrush. My toothbrush is a thing that haunts me when I am traveling and makes my life a misery. I dream that I haven't packed it. Okay, I just dreamed that. And wake up in the cold perspiration and get out bed and hunt for it. And in the morning, I pack it before I have used it. Understood that he packed it before using. And have to unpack again to get it because morning time he understood that he's brushing that in that box that he already packed. But he want to, then he just think that have to unpack again to get it And it is always the last thing I turn out of the bag. And then I repack and forget it. And have to rush upstairs for it at the last moment and carry it the railway station wrapped up in the pocket, in my pocket handkerchief. Listen, I pack it before I have used it and have to unpack again to get it. And it is always the last thing I turn out of the bag. Okay, just again I take and then I repack and forget it. And have to rush upstairs for it at the last moment and carry it to the railway station and wrap it up my pocket handkerchief. Okay, then of course I had to turn every mortal thing out now, and of course I could not find it. I rummaged means searched in a hurried or careless way in the things up in much the same state that they must have been before the world was created. And when chaos reigned, that means chaos reigned means I just again repack. Then you see that it's not in order. Of course, I found George and Harry's 18 times over, but I couldn't find my own. Okay, I put the things back one by one and held everything up and shook it. Then I found it inside a boot. I repacked once more. When I had finished, George asked if the soap was in. I said I didn't care a hang whether the soap was in or whether it wasn't. And I slammed the bag shut and strapped it and found that I had packed my spectacles in it. Okay, just imagine which are the things going on in this story. Okay, then he forgot his spectacles and he put that in that box and had to reopen it. It got shut up finally at 10:05 p.m. and then they were reminded the hampers to do. Hampers means large basket for carrying food. Harry said that we should be wanting to start in less than 12 hours time and thought that he and George had better do the rest. And I agreed and sat down and they had to go. Okay, then they started to pack that hampers. And they began in a light-hearted spirit, evidently intending to show me how to do it. I made no comment. I only waited. With an exception of George, Harris is the worst packer in this world. And I looked at the piles of plates and cups and kettles, bottles and jars and peas, straws and cakes and tomatoes, etc. and felt that the thing would soon become exciting. It did. They started with breaking a cup. They started their packing by breaking a cup. That was the first thing they did. They did that just to show you what they could do and to get you interested. Then Harris packed the strawberry jam on the top of a tomato and squashed it. And they had to pick out the tomato with a teaspoon. And then it was George's turn and he trod on means stepped on the butter. Okay, have you seen that picture? Butter. And I didn't say anything, but I came over and sat on the edge of a table and watched them. Okay, just like what they did. Okay, listen. It irritated them more than anything I could have said. I felt that it made them nervous and excited. And they stepped on things and put things behind them. And then couldn't find them when they wanted them, and they packed the peas at the bottom and put heavy things upon the top and smashed the peas in. Okay, all of you listen. The food items put that pea down and covered everything upon that. That means put everything upon. Then which other things happen? Just think. They upset salt over everything. And as for the butter, I never saw two men do more with 1 and 2 pence worth of butter in my whole life than they did. They upset salt over everything. That means they miss them. Mess it up with that. And as for the butter, and I have never saw two men do more with 1 and 2 pence worth of butter in my whole life than they did. After George had got it off his slippers, they tried it to put in the kettle and it wouldn't go in. And what was it wouldn't come out? They did scrape it out at last and they put it down on a chair and Harry sat on it and it stuck to him. And they went looking for it all over the room. I will take my oath I put it down on the chair, said George, staring at the empty seat. I saw you do it myself not a minute ago, said Harris. Then they started round the room again looking for it, and then they met again the center and stared at one another. Most extraordinary thing I ever heard of, said George. So mysterious, said Harris. Then George got round at the back of Harris and saw it. Why, here it is all the time, he exclaimed indignantly, that means angrily. Where? Cried Harris, spinning around. Stand still, can't you? Roared George, flying after him. Can you follow me? Okay, flying after him. And they got it off and packed it in the teapot. Then Montmorency was in it all, of course. Montmorency's ambition in life is to get in the way and swan out. And if he can skewen, that means skewen here, swan out means here get scolded. Then if it is gone in any war he particularly is not wanted. And be a perfect nuisance. Montmorency is a dog, okay, and make people mad and have things thrown at his head. Then he feels his day has not been wasted. To get anybody to stumble over him and curse him steadily for an hour, in his highest aim the object, and when he was succeeded in accomplishing this, his conceit became quite unbearable. Here, pride himself. He came and sat down on things just when they were wanted to be packed. And he labored under the fixed belief that whenever Harris or George reached out their hand for nothing, it was his cold damn nose and they wanted. And he put his leg into the jam and he worried the teaspoons. And he pretended that the lemons were rats and got into the hamper and killed 3 of them before Harris could land them with the frying pan. Harris said, I encouraged him. I didn't encourage him. A dog like that doesn't want any encouragement. It's natural. That means original sin that is born in him that makes him do things like that. The packing was done in 1250 and Harris sat on the big hamper and said he hoped nothing would be found broken. George said if anything was broken, it was broken, which reflection seemed to comfort him. He also said he was ready for bed. And we were all ready for bed. Harris was to sleep with us that night and went upstairs. He tossed for beds and Harris had to sleep with me, he said. Do you prefer the inside or outside? Then I said I generally preferred to sleep inside a bed. Then Harris said it was out. And George said, what time shall I wake you fellows? Harris said 7. I said no, 6, because I wanted to write some letters. Harris and I had to bit of a row over it, but at last split the difference and said 6:30. Wake us at 6:30, George, we said. George made no answer and we found on going over that he had been asleep for some time. And so we placed the bath where he could tumble into it on getting out in the morning and went to bed ourselves. Okay, this is all about the packing of our narrator and George and Harris. Then I told you that what happened? The dog added the confusion in a great deal, right? And he poked his cold and damp nose into their work, and he sat down on the things meant for packing. And here he worried the teaspoons and spoiled the lemons, and he also put his leg into the jam and created nuisance for them. Somehow the packing was over. Okay, then here I told you that it's only the packing by the narrator and the George and Harry's hamper packing, and also nuisance made by the made by that dog also. Okay, then all of you listen, all of you read your chapter well. Then if you have any doubt, ask me through WhatsApp. Okay, inshallah I will give you the question answers. Okay, read the chapter several times. Okay, thank you.